What's up guys, Spin Firearms here, and today we're going to be talking about the Bersa BP9CC. Now this is made in Argentina with a lot of the other Bersas, right? Bersa's actually come out with some really nice handguns over the last couple of years and have been doing an absolutely great job at getting them out to people and, trying to raise awareness to their company. There's a couple other companies out there that I could talk about that, make a good product, but they just are not seen. They're not known. They're not on the shelves at your local gun store. They're not on the front pages of your favorite gun stores online, right? So a lot of people actually miss out on them when they shouldn't. But the Bersa BP9CC, which stands for concealed carry, obviously, is actually a handgun that is carried by some law enforcement over in Argentina as well as other areas over there. And to me, I don't know if it's too dangerous to carry, which we're going to talk about, but it has a lot going for it, but it also has a lot not going for it. So we're going to touch on this over the next couple minutes. The BP9CC is 8 plus 1, right? While being the length of basically a Glock 43X, which 11 plus 1 in the setup with this base plate. So right here, you can see that 8 plus 1 on the left versus 11 plus 1 on the right. So 3 rounds different. You can also see that the Bersa is much thinner. It's one of the thinnest handguns that I own, chambered 9mm. Then up top, basically virtually the same. Barrel to barrel is basically the same. The Bersa's a tad bit longer and maybe a tad bit wider up top. That almost causes the handgun to feel pretty uneven because of that thick slide with that very thin grip. And I mean, it is thin. It feels really good in the hand, but it also feels like just something is missing. Whereas the 43X fills the hand really well, and that's what's made it such a competitor out there, regardless of its lack of capacity being 10 plus 1. But in terms of lack of capacity, you have it here as well. This is only 8 plus 1. Obviously, we're cleared, safety checked prior to the video. Now, 8 plus 1, why is that? Because it is so dang thin. I will tell you though, this thing is absolutely a smooth shooting handgun, but there's a couple features that make me a little nervous, right? I'm not sure if the import laws have anything to do with this stuff, but as you can see right here, it comes with a little key that if you put it in there and turn to safe, the firearm is useless. That might be due to an import law, I'm not 100% sure, but this is the most pointless feature I've ever seen in my life. Nobody's going to go grab their key, lock their handgun, and then when they need it, grab the key again, unlock it, and say, okay, I'm ready to fire. That's absolutely ridiculous. If you want a safety on there, throw a manual safety. That's how you would do that. So that's ridiculous. Obviously, you never even touch that. 2, cleared and safety checked, there is a magazine disconnect. So you can't even use a dry fire practice machine without a magazine in there, which is sort of a bummer, and for a couple other reasons, right? Taking it down and stuff like that. But everything functions really well. It has a really nice takedown or slide stop on there. Really nice slide stop. It actually works really well, as you can see that. It's a little worn in. I've owned this gun for a little over 2 years now. Really nice. They also make them stainless steel, which I recommend because this handgun gets beat up fairly easily, right? Everything works well. Magazine release launches that mag. And I'm not going to lie, if you have weak wrists or wrists that are in pain or bad hands, this is a great handgun for you in terms of racking the slide. It is smooth like butter. It is smoother than almost any handgun I own. I really like that. Sights are 3-dot white sights, as you can see right there. And they are metal sights up front, I believe, but I think the back, are those plastic? I think the rear, yep, the rear might be plastic. That's ridiculous. I never noticed that before. Absolute garbage if they are. Loaded chamber indicator up top. And as you can see, this thing has over 1,000 rounds through it and a pretty decent amount of wear on that barrel. Pretty decent amount of wear. You can see all the machining marks. But not a big deal. Doesn't affect anything. The price point, when I first picked this up, it was about $280. And I know there's been rebates and stuff like that. Typically speaking now, they're about $320, but I have seen them lower and under that $300 mark. That thick, heavy slide really helps it with being smooth, as well as that guide rod and spring set on there. It's actually very smooth to shoot this handgun. So that is one of the positives. Another thing is some people struggle with concealed carry in terms of the thickness. I struggle with the length of the grip, having a problem. That's where I have an issue. So something like this, I might be able to get away with, but if I had a thicker handgun and shorter, I have no problem concealing that. But for people who have trouble concealing a, a thick handgun versus a longer handgun, this is for you. And that's why they did it. It's super thin, stays right close up to your body, people can barely notice it's on you. So that's really nice. It does come with a rail. Not sure what light options are available. As you can see, it has little ledges right here. Keep that finger up the trigger, and a thumb on there to fight some recoil. Actually feels pretty good. The grip has barely any texturing. If you see that on the rear and the front, which are the parts that matter the most, there's nothing. Absolutely nothing. And even this right here is terrible texturing. So you're going to end up spending a little bit of money to get it stippled or add some grips to it, because it does not feel that good. It is very slippery, very, very smooth. Overall finish, pretty nice on it. It does show wear very easily, but not the worst thing in the world. I've seen much worse. I own much worse. Actually, a pretty decent finish. As you can see, it was imported, so I'm not sure if that has to do with the magazine disconnect and the rear safety. Now, trigger pull. This is where this handgun could potentially be dangerous, right? Like I said, magazine disconnect. So let's say I'm in a struggle and somehow something bumps that magazine. I can't use my handgun. It's basically useless. That is the problem with magazine disconnects. Basically useless. That's why my Ruger, I took it off. So yeah, you have that issue, right? Also though, that trigger, check this out. The lightest trigger I own currently sits in this handgun right here. 3 pounds. Not only is it a short trigger, but it's 3 pounds. I kid you not. 3-pound trigger. Now you're going to absolutely rip with this thing. But once again, under stress, under a struggle, under pushing off, grappling, fighting, it's going to be a disaster. Now check out this reset. Ready? Reset. Right? Check this out again. 3-pound trigger plus a reset like this. Just ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. So, in terms of at the range, this thing rips. It's a beast. It's a great shooting handgun. It's smooth. For how thin and light it is, it handles recoil really well and is fast. But for carry, no trigger safety on here. Nothing. Just a 3-pound trigger through and through. I don't know. I don't know if I could ever carry something like this. Although I know law enforcement overseas actually do carry this. I've actually seen it, read about it, all that. But overall, it's a really well-made handgun. I've never had a single problem with reliability. It's a blast at the range, and that's why I own it. I never bought this thing to shoot at the range. I mean, to carry. I bought it to shoot at the range and have fun with that trigger a little bit. But like I said, it could potentially be a big issue with that light of a trigger, under stress, under adrenaline, and stuff like that. Right here is a Shield Plus, boasting 13+1. And this is going to cost you $50 to $75 more. Not only do you get a better trigger, it's a little bit heavier, but it's just a better defensive trigger. And for only $50 to $75 more. So I would go Shield Plus all day. The Bersa BP9CC is sort of out of touch with reality, but at the same time, it is fast. It is flat. It is a pretty good shooting handgun. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Thanks for watching.